G'day everybody, and it looks like while I was away for the weekend, the Q&A that was up just recently has dropped, and the devs have basically provided some of the answers. And before we actually go into these, and I'll run through them quickly soon, probably worth noting that there's an absence in here, which is the absence of anything related to Xbox. And so if there was anybody out there hoping for answers on Xbox, we're not actually hearing anything at all about that at the moment. They've actually been quite quiet, where it would be lovely to know if they have any new fixes in the works to try and get people with their constant crashes in and playing the game. But if you're hanging out for something, unfortunately you're waiting longer again. Anyway, on to the Q&A itself. Okay, first question. Would it be possible to keep quality of life skills between wipes? And the answer here is that some consideration certainly needs to be taken if they were going to go down this route. But they're worried of creating an unfair advantage with the players that have it and those that don't. But they will look at other ways to reduce the repetitive nature of the progression of the game. Will the bowlers be stackable? Apparently that is in. Right, so it should actually be in on the PTR, so if you jump on the PTR you probably can see that stacking is there, and April 13th is the next patch. It's only actually a couple of days as of recording this, and we'll have that. What do we got? Do you have any plans of expanding the lore of the Atlas? And yes. One of the contributors being the time-worn quality that some people may have seen come in. It looks like the colours for the all of the blueprints have actually changed back. They've tweaked the colours slightly, but they took it back to the original colours and then just tweaked them to make them more visible in a way that they think that it's better. But yeah, thankfully they went back and there's a new quality in there which is time worn, and apparently that's going to have something to do with the lore. Next up is my own question. Is there a way to see all of the features that you plan to add before moving into the fixing and optimization phase? And I'd hoped that they would actually just give a bullet point list of all of the different features that they were planning to add, and they said go and have a look at the Trello board which already exists. The only problem with the Trello board is it's not up to date, and they're not even, the updates here are really old basically, because but the upcoming features, expansion to the 13x13 grid, well that's actually been in for quite a long time now. Upcoming features, sure, yeah, things like the Tame House is coming, the industrial stuff is coming, but then we see the upcoming features. Torchic is already in the game, right? The modular ship, the Pegasus, that's already been done, right? They're not upcoming features, they're actually features that have been released. So this, while it's really nice to have this Trello, the reason why I asked the question is because I want to see the dot points of what's coming up, so we know when they're actually going to finish development and move into the fixing and optimization phase. And the Trello board doesn't really suit right now. Someone from their side needs to go in and update it and make it proper. So, have the devs gone into unofficial to have a look at some of the beautiful mods that people have done out there? The answer is yes, and they actually want to look at mods which are universally used across multiple different servers, and those will basically show that there is a core functionality of the game that's missing, and then that might be something they need to address, whether that be to incorporate the mod creator into the game itself or take inspiration from it. They're not interested in stealing people's work, and I saw this, Redbeard basically posted it in the chat one time. They are interested in working with mod creators. I just get the feeling that it's a little bit too early for that for them right now, because they need to get their core features into the game to begin with, and then they can start optimizing. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether they actually do that, because there's some really nice mods out there that could definitely be brought into the game, like the one which replaces the ships of the damned with actual ships. And I think I even saw Redbeard mentioning that it would be fun to do that too. But that's one of the really nice mods that I think is out there, and gets rid of the ships of the dams and puts other styles of ships. There's one that actually creates different levels of the ships as well in terms of their difficulty, and so they can actually ramp up. And I think the idea of basically coming across an NPC pirate armada would actually be a rather interesting way to change the game, to not just have the ships of the damned, and probably keep both, but just have some differences as well. So what can be done to make the game more enjoyable for the solo or small group players? They're looking at basically reorganizing the islands so that the islands that the larger companies will be drawn to will be away from the places that the smaller companies will actually be interested in building, which should then hopefully work it. And they're going to be changing some of the islands as well to make them either more enticing, less enticing, so on and so forth. And hopefully that will improve the solo experience, but have to wait and see about that one. Are there any plans to change and add unwanted repetitive islands? They say that they're going to do that in the polishing phase. I assume that the polishing phase will either be prior to launch or just after launch. I'm not entirely certain, but maybe that'll be part of the fixing and optimization phase, where I need to wait for them to publish what the list of all the features they're planning on adding, so that we know when they're going to be finished and when they're going to move on to actually polishing the game. Do you guys have plans to adjust endgame PvE? And this is an interesting one. They're going to add 7 new bosses. So they're going to keep the Dragon, they're going to keep the Hydra. They have 7 new bosses, which will mean that each Power Stone Island will have a unique boss. It sounds very interesting. I'll be curious to see where that goes. And when you actually look at that, that's actually almost uniquely a PvE content that's going to be added to the game, and that's great. When I leave my ship anchored, the sails will only repair the planks and decks of the ship, so they plan to do the repair for the whole ship. This is something we can look into in the future, but it's not currently planned. And that's probably to do with the fact that the modular ships are the way that they're actually pushing forward, and the legacy ships, while they're going to remain in the game, they don't seem to be spending a lot of time actually doing any updates to them. Will you add the ability to use deck swivels? Apparently there will be more modular railings coming, one of which will have swivels. Are there any plans to create healthier breeding system? Well, this is where the Tame House comes into play. And I haven't actually mucked around with the Tame House. It should be on the PTR right now, so people should be able to jump on and actually have a play around with it. So yeah, currently it's going through the testing, and yeah, hoping to see something nice there where you can put a couple of creatures in and you'll be able to breed in there. So rather than having creatures littered around everywhere, you can basically have them stored in the Tame House doing their business. What, as the dev team, are your plans to maintain and grow the player community? For the official side of Atlas, there's been discussions. The idea is it might be a small specialty realm, or realms. The specialty realms will be shorter season, maybe a month, and have different game modes. For example, remove the tames, or only give people weapons such as swords and pistols. And it's an interesting one, that one. And I can't remember where I saw the commentary on that one. But yeah, it's I like the idea of it where, take the existing game, strip certain elements out of it. Like, I'd love to see a world where you stripped out things like the tameable dragons and things like that, and pair it right back just to the pirate game, and yeah, go from there and have that as one of those specialty realms. But each different one might attract a different set of the community, and it might actually be something that makes it rather interesting. So you have a smaller map which is focused purely on pirate play. You could even have a different map which is then focuses purely on the fantasy, which some people might be interested in. Hey, so that one's actually a curious one and could actually create some rather interesting modes. And I've already said that I like the idea with the portals, where you can actually have a PvE world with portals on either side of an area. Then 2 teams can basically sail in, and inside there's basically a PvE battleground that you fight over to get really good resources, but that generic area, or that area of PvP, gets wiped regularly. So while you might be able to go in there and take and hold the good resources, you won't be there permanently. But, I'm sure there's lots of different ways the servers can be run. People want to see timelines of updates, planned releases, wipes. Is there plan for more transparency? And the answer here is pretty much after release. So for now, the Trello, which definitely is not up to date, but after release they'll have regular schedules for their seasons and patches. But yeah, again, they just need to keep that Trello up to date. Someone needs to get on there and actually maintain it. It doesn't always have to be maintained every bloody day, but at the moment we're not even seeing every week. We're probably not even seeing a month. It's not up to date. As features are released, surely you should be going into the Trello, marking those things as released and moving them into the relevant buckets. And then, if it's not containing all the things they're planning on there, then maybe they should make sure that everything's in there. If it is everything that's in there, then we already have the finite list, but they're not in their correct buckets. Any details on the dev kit update? The dev kit is planned to be updated once a season, usually at the beginning, which means that the next dev kit update will probably be with the next wipe, which this week will just be a patch, and I think people are anticipating more around the June will probably be the wipe, but that's just a guess. We don't know 100% for certain that one. Are there plans for more live streams like we had around launch? They've not had any discussions, however we would love to have a live dev stream. Yeah, it would be interesting to watch, but you know, I wonder if that's actually what they were asking in terms of the stuff. Could be. I'm not that... Oh, I guess it would be interesting to put faces to the team, and that would be interesting, but other than that, that doesn't excite me, but it might excite other people. Will there be temporary alliance bed placement on your alliance ships or foundation? This feature is something that we've planned on implementing for a little while. It should make its way into the game in the near future. Put it on the Trello board. Any plans to update to a newer version of Unreal Engine? I imagine that there's a stupid amount of work to get UE5 to be the thing there, but I don't think now is the right time. Get the game finished, get all those features in, do your fixes and your optimizations, and then start looking at a decision for UE5. Either that or scrap the game that we've got now and build it from scratch in UE5, but yeah, don't take it on right now. Yeah. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the patch notes. As usual, let me know what you think down in the comments, and yeah, I guess there's some nice stuff in here in terms of the Q&A, but my final thoughts are that I would have liked to have seen maybe something around Xbox, how the development and of the fixes there are going, and whether there's anything new coming for the hopeful Xbox players that want to be able to play. And other than that, again, I just want to see that Trello board filled out properly, even if it was once a week or, you know, done on patch day, you know, every 2 weeks when they release a patch or whatever it is. Update the Trello board so that we know that it's up to date, and that would be wonderful. Alright, thanks for listening in, and I'll catch you in the next one. See you later.